What is up, everybody? This is your boy, Teran Rodriguez, bringing you another edition of Set Point. And as always, we have ourselves a jam-packed show as we have a lot to get into in the world of volleyball, such as Long Beach State taking down #1 Hawaii. But did the Rainbow Warriors go out with a bang or a whimper? And how about Ball State taking down Ohio State, proving that there is a lot of madness in the MIVA? Also, we had McKendree pulling off an impressive win over Lewis. And how about Purdue Fort Wayne beating Ohio State? Lots of MIVA madness happening. Also, we had some interesting results in the NAIA world as Vanguard remains undefeated, taking down Menlo on the road. Also, we had the Masters College taking down Ottawa of Arizona, leading up to the #1 versus #2 match between Vanguard and Masters. Also, Newport Harbor had a great win over Corona Del Mar in the annual Battle of the Bay match, as they have another big week. Speaking of big high school boys volleyball teams in the nation, we have Mira Costa having a big week, taking on Mater Dei and Loyola, and we have some NCAA Beach Volleyball to discuss. So hand me a volleyball, set up the net, because I'm about to serve you up some volleyball action here on Set Point. This is Teran Rodriguez, bringing you another edition of Set Point here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And welcome one, welcome all to another edition of Set Point. Thank you all for joining me on this beautiful Monday afternoon, Monday evening, Monday wherever you are listening from. Either way, you've made your way into episode 238 of Set Point. And without any further delay, let us begin. But first and foremost, Set Point would not be where it's at without IE Sports Radio providing the platform to go live on Spreaker. Please do follow IE Sports Radio on several different social media platforms such as X, formerly known as Twitter, TikTok, and on Instagram at IE Sports Radio. We also have ourselves a Facebook page. All you just have to do is like us and follow us on Facebook, and then that's how you're able to follow us on Facebook for all of your latest sports news. And we have a website, iesportsradio.com, for all of your latest sports news, our blog, our fans of the month, our pages dedicated to each podcast, such as Set Point, our merchandise shop, and our community forum. For the last 9 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports stadiums around the country. All in all, we have been by the fans and for the fans, and with your help, we are ready to continue growing and continue expanding. And for me, I'm ready to help you volleyball fans give you what you want and what you need. Thank you to everyone for all of your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. A huge shout out to our two sponsors, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, the single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, it's low in sugar, and high in protein. This is some of the best jerky you could get your hands on, and all you have to do is visit planetjerky.net and place your order. In addition, if you buy $50 more or more worth of an order, you will get the shipping handed to you for free. And prices are slashed for the time being, so get the jerky while you can. Once again, a huge shout out to our sponsor, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. Also, our second sponsor is Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations, and you're looking for that extra special touch. Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or friend, and you want to add their smile when they receive it. If that's the case, then Seal the Deal Wax Seals with Cecilia's handmade wax stamps is for your invitations, letters, and gifts. Their motto is, you bring the deal, and we'll bring the seal. Follow them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps. And you can follow Set Point on social media on X, formerly known as Twitter, at set_point.ie, and on Instagram at set_point.IESR. Let's begin. So, NCAA men's volleyball action did not disappoint, as we have Mike Pat, Davidson Crooks, and Ralph Cleese all greeting me, saying, good evening, have a great show. This is just paraphrasing, of course, but I digress. So let's discuss a little NCAA men's volleyball as well. For starters, I will just say Long Beach State, Hawaii did not disappoint. Now, unfortunately, I was unable to watch the first match as I only got to see the replay of it. However, it was just the second match was definitely one to remember, as the first match between Long Beach State, it was kind of an interesting match, as it wasn't really a blowout. Like, the final result was Long Beach State sweeping Hawaii. But you have to remember, Spiros Hakas did not play. He's out for the season. And in that match against Long Beach State, Hawaii lost Chaz Galloway as he rolled his ankle after falling on a teammate, which was not so good times. But Long Beach State eked out that first set 25-22. Second set, Long Beach State was down by as many as 7, but being this scrappy and gritty Long Beach State team that they are, they were able to make a comeback, win that second set 25-20. You would think that Long Beach State would have had more control of that second set, but Long Beach State just really handled business in that second set. And then the third set, it was the tightest of the three, as this probably would have been Hawaii's best chance at forcing a fourth set. They actually had set point a couple times, but unfortunately, they just could not pull out that set win, as Long Beach State dodged, I think it was like 2 set points, if not maybe 3, as they eventually won the third set 30-28, winning the match off of an unfortunate double, as Hawaii got blocked, and unfortunately, actually, it wasn't a block. They did get blocked, and then Teran Rosenthal tried to hit it back over, but it hit into the net, and he touched it again. So that's how Long Beach State wound up winning in 3 sets. As the Beach was led by Skylar Varga, who had 12 kills. Sotir Shapanis had 10 kills. Nathan Harlan added 9 kills. Now, you're probably wondering what happened with Clark Godbold. So, unfortunately, Clark Godbold, and I don't know if I could be blamed for this, but Clark Godbold didn't really have his best series against Hawaii, as in this match and in the next match that I'm about to go talk about, Clark didn't unfortunately have his greatest match, and Nathan Harlan got the start over Clark for the most part. It's nothing bad, but if you all remember, I interviewed Clark Godbold and Alan Knipe before the Hawaii series, which I'm hoping that's not the case of the set point curse, because let's just say the set point curse might have happened in another match, but I digress. So, for Hawaii, they were led by Alakai Todd, who had 10 kills. Keone Tim added 9 kills. Trying to say these names right, as someone actually kind of corrected me, but he was nice about it. Guilherme Voss added 8 kills, and Chaz Galloway added 7 kills. As a team, Hawaii hit only 236, while Long Beach State hit 337, which I thought was rather impressive. Long Beach State also outblocked Hawaii 10.5 to only 6, and Hawaii only had 1 ace, which is not going to win you too many games. Now, the second matchup I was in attendance for, and oh man, this seems to always happen. Whenever I miss the first match of a 2-game series, I always catch the second match, and it becomes an instant classic. Long Beach State took the first set 25-20, and then Hawaii was able to turn the tables on Long Beach State. They took the second set 25-20. They were just serving tough. It was just a big serving match between both teams, as you had players from Hawaii serving straight-up heat like Tim, and Guilherme Voss had a nice little jump serve. Louis Sakanoko had himself a nice little serving night as well. And then the third set, Hawaii was up late 23-22, and then Long Beach State rattles off 3 straight, wins the third set 25-23. Then late in the fourth set, it got dramatic, as Long Beach State actually had match point at 24-23, but Hawaii rattled off 3 straight points, capped off by a Long Beach State hitting error, as Hawaii took that fourth set 26-24. Then the fifth set occurred, and if you look at the box score, it doesn't really speak and give justice to Hawaii on how much they scratched and clawed in that fifth set. And here's the thing. Long Beach State led 6-3 at one point. They led 8-6. I think it was like 8-6, 8-5 at the side switch. And then eventually they were up 14-11. It was either 14-10, 14-11. And then Hawaii gets it down to 1 point. They get their deficit down to 1 point. And then Long Beach State wins a semi-long rally as Sotir Shapanis puts down the bit kill, and Long Beach State is able to pull out that fifth set win, 15-13, winning against Hawaii. As Long Beach State was led by Sotir Shapanis, 17 kills. Skylar Varga had 15 kills, but Hawaii outdid them in the kill department. They had 70 kills compared to Long Beach State's 48, led by Keone Tim, who had 20 kills. Louis Sakanoko added 19 kills. Alakai Todd added 16 kills. So Hawaii did all that they could to try to win that match. They were not bad by any means. Unfortunately, Long Beach State just had a little bit more gas in the tank, and it's unfortunate for Hawaii because they did everything in their power, and that could go a long way in terms of trying to have the tiebreaker between Long Beach State and themselves. But they are hosting the Big West Conference Tournament. I can still see Hawaii at no worst as a 3 seed. I mean, they still are going to be without Spiros Hakas, and that's a huge loss, but Hawaii has shown that they can win without him. I think that first match was close, but it just didn't give the justification because it's a 3-set match. By the way, the numbers in attendance were over 4,000, sold out back-to-back nights at the Pyramid for Long Beach State, Hawaii. The first match had 4,012 people, and then the second match had 4,062. Just an overall amazing night. And even Spiros Hakas said it on X, formerly known as Twitter. This is high-level volleyball. We gotta grow the game. This should have been nationally televised. At least put it on FS1 for goodness sake. I know NCAA men's basketball and women's basketball is a thing, but still, we gotta grow the game of men's volleyball. NCAA men's volleyball at that. If you've watched my video interviews with Jeff Nygaard along with Alan Knipe and Clark Godbold, I asked them how can we keep on growing NCAA men's volleyball. And we need big platforms, not like myself, unfortunately. We need big and major platforms growing NCAA men's volleyball. So other than the Long Beach State match, there were some other big NCAA men's volleyball matches that happened, such as, well, in the Big West, we had CSUN and UC San Diego. Number 16 CSUN taking on number 18 UC San Diego. Long story short, the Tritons won both matchups. CSUN in the Thursday match took the first set 25-20, but then the Tritons gentlemen swept the Matadors 25-22, 25-12, and 25-22, winning that matchup. The Tritons were led by Anthony Sherfon, who had 12 kills. This is another case where one team got out-killed, but they were able to win the match entirely. UC San Diego also hit 293, which is a big night. They also had 12 blocks on the night compared to CSUN's 5, and CSUN missed 20 serves, and they only had 5 aces, while UC San Diego only missed 12 serves and had 8 service aces. The Matadors were led by Kyle Hobus, who had 23 kills. Mateo Salvador added 12 kills. But that was kind of where the buck stopped. And that was just the first match. That was played on Thursday. But on Friday, we had a barn burner. We had CSUN getting reverse swept. UC San Diego went on the road in Northridge to take down CSUN in 5 sets. It was a backdoor sweep. CSUN won the first 2 sets, 25-22 and 25-18. But then the Tritons won the third set, 25-18. And they were able to eke it out in the fourth set, winning it 25-23, and then the fifth set, the Tritons won that fifth one, 15-12, as UC San Diego is actually in a good position because they're on the right track of being either 4th or 5th. Probably 4th, just because it doesn't matter in terms of home court advantage, but if they get that 4th, 5th spot, and they finish that in the Big West Conference Final and regular season standings, they'll avoid facing the number 3 seed in that Big West Conference tournament, whether it's UC Irvine or Hawaii, or, heaven forbid, Long Beach State. As the Tritons were led by Sebastian Lara, who had 17 kills. Anthony Sherfon added 16 kills. The Tritons hit 316. CSUN hit 299, led by Kyle Hobus, who had 19 kills. Jalen Phillips added 15 kills. Unfortunately, it was not enough, as the blocks were in favor of CSUN, but only by a little. CSUN had another 20-plus missed serving night, as they missed 22 against the Tritons. But it was a great battle between CSUN and UC San Diego. Unfortunately for the Matadors. This puts them in a very sticky situation. They're going to have to win a few matches along the way, whether it's via an upset or whether it's against UC Santa Barbara. So jumping over to the MIVA, as I mentioned in the intro, there was quite a bit of MIVA madness, and it all started on Thursday. We had Ball State, number 13 Ball State, downing number 8 Ohio State in 4 sets. This was the battle for first place. If the Buckeyes won, they would take over first place. If the Cardinals won, they'd remain in first place. But those scrappy Cardinals were able to take down the Buckeyes in at the Covalli Center in Columbus. Ball State won an extended first set, 34-32, only to see Ohio State rally back, win that second set, 25-15. But then Ball State won the second set, 25-22, and they just outlasted Ohio State in that fourth set, 26-24. As the Cardinals were led by Patrick Rogers, he had 24 kills, he had 383. Tanashi Ndava-Zocheva, he had 16 kills. Rogers also added 8 digs as he gave Ball State the Rogers rate. Am I right? I'll stop. Anyway, Ohio State was led by Shane Wetzel. He had 22 kills. Jacob Pastor only had 11 kills. He had 9 hitting errors, and he hit under 100. That's a big oof if you're Ohio State. Kyle Toon also added 10 kills. Justin Howard chipped in 7 kills. In terms of the other stats, it was dead even in terms of service aces and service errors. Blocks were slightly won by Ball State. And in terms of the digs, Ohio State won that category as Thomas Poole had 18 digs, but unfortunately he could not dig his team out as they wound up losing. But that wasn't the only loss suffered by Ohio State this past weekend. Purdue Fort Wayne, they welcomed Ohio State with no open arms, and they swept the Buckeyes. They won the first set 25-18 and narrowly won the second set 25-23. Then the third set, Ohio State was leading early. I think they led 12-8. Eventually, Purdue Fort Wayne ties it up at 12-12, and then Purdue Fort Wayne hits the gas, only to see Ohio State on its coattails. Ohio State is down 23-20, and then they rattle off 2 straight, so it's only a 2-point deficit. Then Ohio State ties it up at 23 apiece. It looks like the Buckeyes are at least going to force 4 on the road, but the Mastodons wound up winning the last 2 points. The final point was won on a block as Purdue Fort Wayne pulls off another top 10 win. Huge win for those Mastodons as John Diedrich led the way with 18 kills. Mark Frazier added 15 kills. Purdue Fort Wayne hit 359 while holding Ohio State to only 224. Shane Wetzel led the way with 15 kills. Doesn't look like Jacob Pastor even played, so no Jacob Pastor. That's a problem for Ohio State. Forgot to mention that as if you're Ohio State, my takeaway from this matchup is Ohio State really needed to win at least one match this week. Now they're in a very sticky situation where they're even behind, I think, McKendree as well. And the even scarier part is Ohio State has to go at Muncie to take on Ball State this week. And that's a huge matchup because if Ball State wins that matchup, they're pretty much cruising closer and closer to that MIVA regular season conference title. And you have to give it up to Donan Cruz. He's done an outstanding job with that program. They had a little bit of a shaky start in the beginning. They didn't really pull out the big-time wins. They even let a couple of matches seem to have slipped through their hands. But Ball State is starting to figure it out really quick. And then the last MIVA upset we had was McKendree, number 20 McKendree, being ranked for what seems to be like a long while, upsetting Lewis on the road in 5. Now, if you remember the first matchup, Lewis won the first matchup at McKendree, but this time Lewis unfortunately could not win that second matchup, as Lewis won the first set 25-21, but then McKendree, despite the set being highly contested, they won the second set 25-18. Then the Flyers won the third set 25-23. And then McKendree wound up eking out that second set 25-22. And they eventually eked out that fifth set 15-11. As McKendree pulls off a big win. Probably the second biggest win this season behind the Ball State win, which is Ball State's only conference loss. as Kevin Shuley led the Wildcats, or the Bearcats, with 20 kills. Nathan Flater added 11 kills, along with Sam Hoskin, and De'Aaron McCraney added 10 kills. The Bearcats hit 344, even though Lewis hit 301. This seemed a little bit of a mixed bag of defense and offense, as McKendree had 6.5 blocks compared to Lewis to 7.5 blocks, while McKendree outdug Lewis by 5, with Flater adding 14 digs, and Yadiel Diaz added 10 digs. Lewis was led by Daniel Haber, who had 20 kills. Max Roque added 19 kills. Like I said, Lewis hit over 300, but it just was not enough, as those Bearcats pull off another big win. Unfortunately for them, the Neva Madness kind of ended for McKendree, as they suffered a tough loss against Loyola of Chicago. Tough loss right there, especially since it was in Chicago. But they have another chance at Loyola this week. Should be another fine and dandy of a matchup. Then heading to the MPSF, we had this Thursday matchup, matinee. And this was probably the second best match on paper. Like, in terms of like ranked versus ranked, this was obviously the best matchup outside of Hawaii Long Beach State. We had number 11 USC heading down to Malibu to take on number 9 Pepperdine. USC won the first set 25-22, and USC was leading for the most part in set number 2, but Pepperdine was able to come back. They were down 24-22, outscored the Trojans 6-2, and eventually won that second set 28-26. There was no Wes Smith in the lineup, so no Wes Smith, no Austin Stewart. Well, actually, Austin Stewart did play, but Riley Hayne was playing the libero position for the Trojans, which I don't know what happened, but oh my god, that's so tough if you're a USC fan. Then the third set, Pepperdine eked out that third set win 25-23, and then they wound up winning the fourth set 25-20. Huge win for those Pepperdine Waves. I thought this was going to be a big test for the Waves. Unfortunately, USC was kind of the victim of a little bit of a low ceiling, but both teams were playing through it, and USC has some heavy arms on this team. And as I mentioned before, Wes Smith did not play, as Teddy Terrell got the start, former Loyola of Los Angeles boys volleyball standout. The Waves were led by Cole Kachansky, who had 15 kills. I'm probably going to butcher this guy's name. Alex Mackay, he had 10 kills. Martin De Chavaria had 9 kills. Pepperdine as a team hit 358, even though USC hit 342. The Trojans were led by Dylan Klein, who had 19 kills. Jackson Reed had 9 kills. Jack Duker, Teddy Terrell, and Noah Roberts all had 8 kills. Seemed like a little bit of a not-so-defensive matchup, but what really stood out from the defensive front were the blocks from Pepperdine. They had 12 blocks compared to USC's 9.5, which it's not a big difference, but it shuts down a lot of USC's top players. And I will say, Teddy Terrell actually did a great job filling in for Wes Smith. But USC unfortunately missed out on an upset. This kind of... I was a little bit... What's the word? Baffled by this. I thought this one was at least going to go 5. And I did interview Jeff Nygaard the day before they played Pepperdine. USC is idle this week, but oh man, I feel a little bad because the set point curse might be a thing. Except Long Beach State kind of exorcised that curse and wound up winning their matches against Hawaii. Jen B pops in the chat room. She says, "Hey Terrence, sorry I'm late. Was driving in a blizzard, but she made it home safely." Well, that's good to hear, Jen. Alright, so that's pretty much it for the main matches, but we had some other fun matches. We had the Battle of I-99, number 10 Penn State reverse sweeping St. Francis on the first night with the fifth set being 15-13, and that was in St. Francis. And then the second match was at Penn State at Rec Hall. Penn State had to win that one in 5 sets again. So for Penn State, they had a little bit of a close call, but they were able to pull out 2 big wins, as Penn State was led by John Kerr, who had 18 kills in the first match, Then Nathan Zinni added 20 kills for St. Francis in the second match. Brady Stump added 12 kills, and Andrew Deerdorf had 11 kills. It was an ugly night for Penn State offensively. They only hit 214, but they made up in terms of the service ace department. They had 9 service aces, only 21 service errors, and the reason why I say only 21 service errors is because St. Francis missed, get this, 33 serves. They missed 33 serves. I've heard of aggressive serving, but that just does not get the job done. Ryan Merck also added 15 digs for Penn State. So there you have it right there for that first matchup. And then the second matchup, Penn State was led by John Kerr again. He had 16 kills. Michael Valenzi added 9 kills. Ryan Merck had another double-digit dig performance. He had 10 digs. Penn State had 6 service aces, only missed 17 serves. The blocking wasn't too high as they had 9.5 blocks as a team compared to St. Francis's 4. St. Francis had 3 players differently hit double digits in digs, as Peyton Blaine had 12 digs, Ryan Parker had 10 digs to go along with his 43 assists, and Andrew Deerdorf had 10 digs to go along with 8 kills. Nathan Zinni added 23 kills, as St. Francis only hit 186. And this is the St. Francis of Pennsylvania, not the St. Francis of Brooklyn, which unfortunately closed down its athletic program, but I digress. And then another little fun non-conference matchup was number 15 Princeton outlasting Fairleigh Dickinson in 5. As, oh man, unfortunately FDU just missed out on an upset. I want to say they had match point in that 4th set, but Princeton wound up winning the last 3 points, winning it in overtime 26-24. And then Princeton just straight up sprinted in that 5th set and just never looked back. And you gotta feel bad for those Knights of Fairleigh Dickinson, or FDU, as Princeton was led by Ben Harrington. He had 25 kills. Nahiro Omene added 16 kills. Princeton hit 279 on the night, which was not bad, but they missed 26 service errors, which is double of how much FDU missed. They only missed 13 serves. Henry Wedbush also had 13 digs to go along with his 50 assists. Matt Su added 10 digs, and Omene added 11 digs. FDU was led by Ethan Young, who had 18 kills. Dylan McFadden had 16 kills. FDU only hit 207, as their blocks only was 8 as a team compared to Princeton's 11. They had 55 digs as a team, as Grady Hoffman added 13 digs, leading that category, while Jose Angarita added 12 digs to go along with his 45 assists, and McFadden also added 9 digs. So, that's so tough for FDU. They almost pulled off a ranked win, but just fell short in the Battle of New Jersey. But the sun will still rise. So that's pretty much that for all of the notable matches. So just a quick little rundown of some of the other matches. UC Irvine took down UC Santa Barbara twice. And then we also, like I mentioned, we had Loyola upending McKendree, which was a big win for those two, which was a big win for the Ramblers. The two also face each other this week, which I'll be getting into in a little bit. We'll circle the wagons from NCAA men's volleyball a little bit later. Right now, let's talk some NCAA beach volleyball, as we had week 4. So Tuesday, the week actually started with number 4 Florida taking down number 16 FAU 5-0. Then Wednesday, we had Long Beach State taking down number 17 Grand Canyon 5-0 and number 15 Georgia State 4-1. And then number 15 Georgia State took down number 17 Grand Canyon 4-1. Then in a non-league matchup, or a non-tournament matchup, we had Boise State upsetting number 20 Tampa 4-1. Then we had 3 different tournaments. We had the East meets West tournament this past weekend. We had the FAU Beach Invitational, and then we had the LBSU tournament. So starting with the East meets West day 1, we had number 6 LSU defeating number 8 Cal 3-2. Number 2 UCLA defeated LSU. Number 2 UCLA defeated number 6 LSU 4-1, and then UCLA also beat Grand Canyon 5-0. Number 10, LMU took down number 17, Grand Canyon 4-1, and they also beat number 15, Georgia State 4-1. Hawaii also beat Georgia State. Number 13, Hawaii beat number 15, Georgia State 4-1. And then Florida State beat Hawaii 4-1, and then number 8, Cal upset number 4, Florida State 4-1, which I thought was pretty impressive. I think that's a very good win for Cal, and that's Florida State's first loss of the season, so unfortunate times to be a Noles fan, but the sun will come up. And then day 2, UCLA picked up 2 wins by scores of 4-1 and 5-0 against number 4 Florida State and number 15 Georgia State. Florida State ended the East meets West challenge, defeating number 10 LMU 3-2, which was a very grinded out like type of win for the Noles. And then number 13 Hawaii upset number 6 LSU 4-1. That's a big win for the Rainbow Wahine, as they struggled a little bit early on the season, but might have found their footing just in time, especially since the Big West Challenge is this weekend. We also had LSU defeating LMU 3-2. Cal beat Hawaii 3-2, and then Cal upended Georgia State 4-1. So that was that for the East meets West. Then we had the FAU Beach Invitational. We had number 1 USC sweeping number 16 FAU and Palm Beach Atlantic 5-0. The number 5 TCU took down number 16 FAU 3-2. Very close matchup right there. I did not expect those Owls to give the Horned Frogs a little bit tougher of a match, especially since it boiled down to that last matchup in the duel. But thankfully for TCU, they were able to pull out the win. TCU also beat Florida Gulf Coast 4-1, and then FIU, or Florida International, defeated Palm Beach Atlantic 5-0, as the number 12 FIU got the job done. So that was day 1. Day 2, we had number 1 USC taking down FIU 5-0, and then we also had USC taking down TCU in a huge win 4-1. That was number 1 USC defeating number 5 TCU in a rematch of last year's NCAA tournament semifinal. It was the first meeting since that matchup, and USC passed with flying colors. I will just go out and say USC really impressed me. That was a big win, and TCU never really loses 4-1 or 5-0. So the fact that USC was able to pull out that win against a talented TCU team is quite incredible. TCU ended the FAU Beach Invitational with a 4-1 win over Palm Beach Atlantic. Unfortunately for TCU, they had to medically forfeit a match in the duel just because one player went down with the injury, and unfortunately she couldn't continue. So it was a medical forfeit. So if you're wondering why Palm Beach Atlantic took a match off of TCU in the duel, that was the reason why. And hopefully for that player, she's getting treatment, and it's not a serious injury. And then FIU defeated FAU in the battle of number 12 versus number 16, 4-1. And then FAU ended off the FAU Beach Invitational with a 5-0 win over Palm Beach Atlantic. Then we jumped to the LBSU tournament. So I was at day 2, but day 1 consisted of Pepperdine defeating Nebraska 5-0, Long Beach State defeating Texas 5-0, CSUN defeating Nebraska 3-2, number 11 Arizona State defeating Pepperdine 4-1, CSUN defeating Texas 3-2, and number 7 Long Beach State defeating number 11 Arizona State 3-2. So as for the second day of the LBC tournament, so this was my first time covering an NCAA beach volleyball event. I'm not going to lie, it was my first ever time covering an event in terms of NCAA beach volleyball. I had no idea how this worked, and I will just say Long Beach City's facility in terms of beach volleyball is so amazing. It looks really good. So, and according to Stein Metzger, the Texas beach volleyball coach, it's a $7 million it was a $7 million project that just looks state of the art. So Long Beach City really outdid itself. And a huge shout out to Long Beach State for hosting the event and for treating me well. I really do appreciate it. All right, but the second day of the LBCU tournament, Texas and Nebraska squared off as there were some indoor players from Texas taking on Nebraska, which was in its final day of the beach volleyball season, as Texas wound up beating Nebraska 3-2. I wish that was the NCAA tournament women's volleyball final, but unfortunately, you heard what John Cook said. All of the finals have resulted in 3-0s the past few times, but I digress. Anyway, but Nebraska Beach Volleyball is done for the season as they don't... I wouldn't say it's not an actual beach volleyball team, but it's mainly just off-season things as now their indoor women's team is... or their beach volleyball team goes back to indoor, and then they start the indoor off-season in pursuits of winning the national championship. And I got to talk to Jalen Reyes, the Nebraska Beach Volleyball coach and the assistant coach of Nebraska. It was great talking to him, and here's hoping I can make it to at least one Nebraska match. Hopefully I can. I really would like to go to Nebraska and aka the Bob, but I can only hope one day. But as for the rest of the LBSU tournament, number 7 Long Beach State took down Nebraska 5-0. Number 11 Arizona State took down CSUN 5-0. Number 11 Arizona State took down Texas 3-2. Now this matchup was a lot closer than I expected it to. Like, Texas was actually holding its own, and I was thinking, this one actually could get decided in the ones court. But every matchup was decided 2-0 as Texas wound up winning on the 3s and 4s court, whereas Arizona State won on the 2s, 1s, and 5s court. Well, the 5s court was basically just a drubbing. No offense to Texas, but Arizona State wound up winning that one. So it was a lot closer than what the score indicates. I mean, it's 3-2, obviously. Most people, when they look at that, they think, well, Arizona State kind of had a little bit of trouble. But it just shows that Texas is starting to grow. Remember, Steinmetzger helped build a powerhouse at UCLA. I was going to say dynasty, but I don't think that's the right word. I think powerhouse would be the best word. And Steinmetzger left UCLA in the hands of Jenny Johnson-Jordan. But Steinmetzger's doing a pretty solid job with Texas. And then closing out the LBSU tournament, number 7 Long Beach State took down CSUN 5-0 as Emily Sparks, who is now on Long Beach State, she got to take down her former team. I got to talk to her a little bit afterward. So there you have it right there in that regard. And that's that for week 4. Now jumping over to week number 5. So some notable matches to watch for. So starting off on Tuesday, we have Hawaii taking on USC. That's a very good match right there. We'll see if Hawaii is much better than they were in week. We'll see if Hawaii is much better than they are this time around than they were in week 1. And then on Friday, we have FIU, TCU, Arizona State, Washington, and FIU, Washington. It's such a huge week for TCU. Then Saturday, we have LSU, Grand Canyon, FIU, Arizona State, Washington, TCU, Arizona State, TCU, Hawaii, Long Beach State. Like I mentioned, the Big West Challenge is going to be big time for Long Beach State, as well as Hawaii and Cal Poly. And then Sunday, we have Grand Canyon, Florida State. We have Long Beach State, Cal Poly, which is going to be the battle of the Sparks sisters. Emily Sparks of Long Beach State and Lindsay Sparks, the older sister at Cal Poly. And then closing off, we have LSU, Florida State, which I think that's the match to watch for. I think that's the match of the week right there, or the duel of the week. Just so I'm getting the correct vernacular right for NCAA Beach Volleyball. And then Hawaii, Cal Poly to basically close out the Big West Challenge. The Big West Challenge is actually going to be held at Sacramento State, which is a founding member of the Big West, since UC Irvine does not have a women's team. And then it's also going to be held at UC Davis. Unfortunately, also UC Riverside doesn't have a beach volleyball team. I'm not trying to rag on those schools, or UC San Diego as well, but you get what I'm trying to tell y'all. Anyway, but that is that for the week 5 preview. So I actually did get a little bit of a request from one of my followers at Beyond B. So his alma mater, Colorado Mesa, and I promised him I would make note of Colorado Mesa. Colorado Mesa actually is playing some big-time NCAA Division I beach volleyball schools in beach volleyball. So they've got 2 matchups against CSUN on Wednesday, and then they play in the PCH Invite at Zuma Beach in Malibu. They take on the likes of Concordia Irvine and Pepperdine, who's receiving votes. And then on Saturday, they take on LMU, and then they also take on Tulane, which is also receiving votes. So a big week for Colorado Mesa, as I definitely do appreciate my follower at B on B for making note of that. And I wish I could make it to that event, but unfortunately I cannot. I got quite a bit of volleyball to cover, not just on the NCAA side, but on the 3C2A men's volleyball side and on the high school boys volleyball side. So before we move on from NCAA Beach Volleyball, we got to go over last week's AVCA coaches poll, or collegiate poll, just because they don't use the vernacular of NCAA Beach Volleyball. They just use National Collegiate Beach Volleyball. So 20 through 16 consists of Tampa at 20, Arizona at 19, Stetson at 18, Grand Canyon at 17, FAU at 16. 15 through 11 consists of Georgia State at 15, Washington at 14, Hawaii at 13, FIU at 12, and Arizona State at 11. 10 through 6 consists of LMU at 10, Cal Poly at 9, LSU at 8, Long Beach State at 7, and Cal at 6. 5 through 1 consists of TCU at 5, Florida State at 4, Stanford at 3, UCLA at 2, and USC at number 1. New number 1 is Long Beach State, or not Long Beach State, USC, as USC Beach Volleyball, they're just sweeping everybody like a dirty floor. But Long Beach State, I will just say, Long Beach State does have some talent on that team, and honestly, I know they didn't play any teams ranked ahead of them, but they are doing pretty solid. They are going to get tested this upcoming week as they're heading down to Northern California for a lot of volleyball. But here's hoping for Long Beach State's sake that they can pass with flying colors. That Cal Poly and Hawaii matchup, like I said, it's going to be such an intense matchup. And that matchup against USC is really going to fine-tune Hawaii. So that's going to do it for some NCAA Beach Volleyball. Circling back to some NCAA Men's Volleyball, I forgot to go over the AVCA Coaches poll as well as the Off the Block Media poll. So new number 1 in the AVCA Coaches poll is Long Beach State. They garnered all 23 first-place votes, no doubt about it. Hawaii was voted second, UCLA third, UC Irvine fourth, Grand Canyon fifth. The Anteaters jumped Grand Canyon after Grand Canyon beat NJIT both in 4 times. I think the committee is thinking that UC Irvine is just slightly more deserving of that 4th spot than Grand Canyon. Stanford stayed at 6, BYU 7. Pepperdine moved up 1 spot. Penn State moved up 1 spot as well to 9. Ohio State moved down 2 spots as those losses to Ball State as well as Purdue-Fort Wayne really hurt them. Loyola Chicago moved up a spot. Ball State only moved up 1 spot. A little surprised at that. I'm surprised Ohio State is still in the top 10. Well, this week is a huge test for them. USC moved down 2 spots to 13. Lewis State at 14. Princeton State at 15. UC San Diego and CSUN swapped spots. UC San Diego's 2 wins over CSUN give it the green light to be ranked ahead of CSUN. George Mason State at 17. McKendree and CSUN are tied for number 18. And UC Santa Barbara moved down to number 19. So that's that for the AVCA Coaches Poll. So moving on to the Off the Block Media Poll from last week. These get released every Tuesday, and they're voted on courtesy of volleyball media such as myself, such as Jonathan Bates. I think Vinny Lopes, the founder of Off the Block, also votes. Ira Thor, Anne-Marie Anderson, Rob Aspero, just to name a few. But the Off the Block Media Poll, I voted Hawaii as number 1. Long Beach State beat them out by only 2 points. Both teams got 5 first-place votes, but Long Beach State just barely beat out Hawaii. They're going to be number 1 in this week's Off the Block Media Poll. It hasn't been released, but it's going to be released tomorrow as of this recording. UCLA jumped up to number 3. Grand Canyon moved down all the way to 4. Hawaii stayed at 5. Ohio State is 6, but now they're going to move down. Penn State at 7. BYU moved down to 8. Pepperdine stayed at 9. And Stanford stayed at 10. And now as for this week, I voted Long Beach State 1. Hawaii 2, this is for the Off the Block Media Poll. UCLA at 3, Grand Canyon 4, UC Irvine 5, Penn State 6, BYU 7, Pepperdine 8, Stanford 9, and I put Ball State in the top 10 as well for Off the Block Media Men's Volleyball Poll. So the reason why I do that is Ohio State's been a little iffy, and they've been iffy since the beginning of the season when they had to go 4 with North, when they had a little bit of a iffy start against Damon, and then they had a little bit of an up and down start against North Greenville, as well as the likes of UC San Diego. So I kind of put Ohio State right outside the bubble. I put Ball State in the top 10 just because 2 losses, one of which was to an unranked opponent in straight sets, it's unacceptable. I know Ohio State did not have Jacob Pasteur, but honestly, you have other players that step up. It's not just the Jacob Pasteur show. Look at what Long Beach State does. Clark Godbold didn't have his best game, and Alan Knipe had to yank him for Nathan Harlan. So you have to have other players stepping up. It just can't be the Jacob Pasteur show every single time. So I have to put Ball State in the top 10, but Ohio State can make their way back in the off-the-block media poll, at least in my book, if they just so happen to beat Ball State this week. But we'll see what happens. All right, but that is going to do it for a little NCAA Beach Volleyball, as well as the off-the-block and AVCA Men's Volleyball Coaches Poll. So jumping over to a little NAIA Men's Volleyball, we had Vanguard University taking on Menlo in the Battle of the Future MPSF teams. The Lions wound up sweeping the Oaks in 4 sets, 25-21, 20-25, 25-15, and 25-19. Vanguard was led by Will Anderson, who had 24 kills. He hit 528, only one ace on the night. Andrew Shevelin added 12 kills. Vanguard hit 363 while holding Menlo to only 262, as the Oaks were led by Julius Steimer, who had 14 kills. I'm going to mispronounce this guy's name. Wojciech Nowak added 9 kills. Apologies to all Menlo fans if I'm mispronouncing any names. Vanguard had 13 service aces, led by Ryan Smith's 4, which I think was big. They only missed 20 serves, which, I mean, that service ace-service error ratio isn't too terrible. Menlo had 4 aces with only 10 missed serves, so that's not too bad of a service error and service ace ratio as well. All in all, this was the number 1 Lions taking down the number 6 Oaks. And then also, that was on Friday. On Saturday, we had number 2 Masters College taking down number 4 Ottawa of Arizona in 4. First set, Masters wound up winning that one 25-16. Second one went to Ottawa, winning that one 25-21. Third set went to Masters, taking that one 25-20. And then the fourth set, Ottawa would love to have this set back. They came so close to forcing a 5th set, but the Masters College wound up winning that 4th set 27-25. Just an unfortunate, tough loss right there for Ottawa, as now they're falling further behind in the Golden State Athletic Conference standings, as the Mustangs were led by Isaac Seltzer and Will Avera, Diego Perez and Isaac Seltzer, who had 13 kills. Braden von Groningen added 11 kills. The Masters College hit 430. 430. They only held Ottawa to only 2 blocks on the night, and even though Ottawa had 34 digs, it was still a big night for them. It was still a big night for the Masters College's offense. Ottawa was led by Ada Nestor, who had 19 kills. He hit 385. Emery Outen had 17 kills. It was still a nice night for Ottawa as they hit 322, but the defense just was not there. It wasn't a big defensive match for both of these teams, even though Preston Schmidt had 11 digs for Masters College, while Ottawa had no double-digit dig leaders for them, as their dig leaders were Jonathan Warden and Ada Nestor, who both had 7 digs. So this week in NAIA Men's Volleyball, we get the big matchup. So the polls did not change. They're going to be changing this Wednesday as of this recording. But as for this week, it was a big week right there. It's a big week for some NAIA Men's Volleyball. So on Saturday, we get number 4 Ottawa of Arizona taking on number 6 Menlo at Menlo. Big matchup right there. I really think we're going to get ourselves quite the barn burner right there. But that's not the big matchup. The big matchup of the week is we get another number 1 versus number 2 matchup in NAIA Men's Volleyball. I had to sound the thunder right there. It's going to be a big week in terms of NAIA Men's Volleyball as we get number 1 Vanguard at number 2 Masters College, It's a rematch of the previous first matchup, which, if you remember, Vanguard reverse swept the Masters College, but the gym conditions, it was a high school gymnasium, which only fit like about 600-ish people, 600-ish fans, and it had a low ceiling, so now we get to see what Vanguard could do in a not-so-low ceiling, and it's going to be on the road. We'll see what happens, but Vanguard is a little battle-tested as of late. They took down Ottawa of Arizona, as well as Menlo. But now they get a big matchup this week when they take on the Masters College in Santa Clara. But Vanguard also has another ranked matchup. Tomorrow, as of this recording, they're playing Westcliff of Irvine. I would go to that matchup, but I'm not entirely certain if I will. But all in all, that's kind of a sneaky good matchup right there for Vanguard. It could be a trap game. It's going to be held at Orange Coast College, so a little bit bigger of a ceiling and a little bit more fans. So we'll see what happens right there. So jumping over to some 3C2A men's volleyball, I went to this matchup right here on Wednesday. I went to a lot of volleyball matches this past week. I went to 3C2A match on Wednesday, a high school match on Friday, and a beach volleyball duel, as well as an NCAA men's volleyball match on Saturday. I had a lot of volleyball this past week. As Patty Pax pops in the chat room, and she says she made it. I'm glad you made it, Patty. Anyway, but to some 3C2A men's volleyball action. This matchup was fun. Golden West taking on Irvine Valley. The number 2 Rustlers hosted the number 4 Lasers. Last year, Irvine Valley wound up winning the Orange Empire Conference as they started their title defense on Wednesday, and they actually shared the conference title with Orange Coast College, or OCC. But Irvine Valley was able to win the match in 5 sets. Golden West won the first set 25-22. Irvine Valley wound up winning the second set 25-21. The Rustlers, they were down, I think it was 24-22, and they eventually wound up winning the third set 29-27. And then IVC dodged a match point, wound up scoring the last 3 straight, and they wound up winning the fourth set 26-24. And then the fifth set, IVC was able to narrowly escape, as I think they were down like 11-9 at one point in the set, but then outscored Golden West 6-2, winning the fifth set 15-13. And oh my god, for Golden West, I have to feel a little bad for them. They lost on a double contact. The worst call you can lose on. Makes you wish that the double call would apply in all sorts of volleyball, or the no double call would apply for all sorts of volleyball. So, oh man, that was a tough loss for Golden West. IVC just was not ready to pass the torch. It was a very ugly serving match, if you ask me, as Golden West missed, by my count, 27 serves, while Irvine Valley also missed 27 serves. The Rustlers also had 7 service aces, while IVC only had 4 service aces. So, oh man. And this is by my count. This isn't an official count, but I had 6 different players with 5 or more kills. That's big right there for Irvine Valley. If they can get a lot of offensive output right there and then, they are going to be so tough to stop, because everyone thinks that it's going to be just one player like Damon Koyman or Grant Dvorak, who also plays setter as well. But Irvine Valley just looked so balanced. Looked so balanced in their win over Golden West. They got a lot of hitters involved, and Grant Dvorak looked pretty solid in that 6-2 offense. And that's pretty unique, having a 6-2 offense with Grant Dvorak in it. I mean, it's kind of like Pepperdine having a 6-2 offense with Bryce Dvorak. As the official numbers from the Irvine Valley match were Grant Dvorak leading the way with 14 kills to go along with 25 assists. He also had 7 digs, so he almost messed around and got a triple-double. Damon Koyman had 12 kills. Zach McIntyre and Riley Hurtis both had 8 kills, as well as Matt Reed. Drake Goring had 6 kills. So those were IVC's numbers. Unfortunately, I couldn't get Golden West numbers, as Curtis Harper, unofficially by my count, led the way with 18 kills. Reggie, I I'm probably going to butcher this guy's name, and I do apologize if I do. But let me see if I'm pronouncing this. I'm going to try to pronounce this guy's name. Reggie Ahong also chipped in 16 kills for Golden West. And then their next kill leader after that was Jeremiah Quesada, who had 7 kills. So all in all, it was a great match. Very service error heavy, very pin hitter heavy, but I will give IVC a lot of credit. They ran the middle a lot more than Golden West did. Not saying that that's a bad thing, but good things happen when you run the middle, just like in football. And as for the rankings for the 3C2A rankings, they didn't really look like they got changed all that much, as this past week's rankings included OCC at 1. Well, top 4 were still the same. Orange Coast, Golden West, San Diego Mesa, and Irvine Valley stayed at 1 through 4. Long Beach City, that is a team that is so scary good right now. They are in first place in their conference, and they just look like the team that they were last year. They're number 5, having jumped from 7. Moore Park is 6, having gone down a spot. Santa Monica is 7, having gone down a spot. Grossmont jumps up to 8. Santa Barbara City goes down to 9. And San Diego Miramar is at 10. So as I mentioned to you all last week, that there are only 2 at-larges from the 3C2A. It basically goes Western State Athletic Conference gets 4 automatic qualifiers. Orange Empire Conference gets 1 automatic qualifier, and the Pacific Coast Conference gets 1 automatic qualifier. So you only get 2 at-larges, just 2, which I imagine is going to be Golden West and Irvine Valley in the event Orange Coast wins the Orange Empire Conference. That's going to do it for some 3C2A men's volleyball. Jumping to a little high school volleyball. So Friday, I was at the Battle of the Bay boys volleyball matchup between Newport Harbor and Corona Del Mar. The Sailors were able to win on the road at Corona Del Mar High School in 4 sets. First set, Corona Del Mar led most of the way until Newport Harbor caught them at 18-17, and then they never relinquished the lead as they took that first set 25-23. Newport Harbor looked a little bit more relaxed in the second set. They were serving tougher. They had 4 aces in that second set as they won the second set 25-21. Third set, CDM just looked much dominant, or Corona Del Mar. They just looked dominant. The Sea Kings won the third set 25-14. A lot of service pressure. Got a lot of other hitters not named Sterling Foley involved. In the fourth set, Newport Harbor actually led 21-13, but Corona Del Mar got that lead down to 2 as they only trailed 23-21, but Newport Harbor was able to shut the door on CDM, winning the fourth set 25-22. Riggs Guy finished up with 27 kills. Jack Berry had 13 kills on 25 swings with only 1 hitting error, which I really think that 1 hitting error was actually in. I think that ball hit deep corner, but I didn't have the best angle on that one, so it's unfortunate. The thing about Newport Harbor is that they did not have USC-bound Jack Vonderay, as he, according to Andrew Mabry, is out for a good portion of the season. Not certain if they'll get him back. He'll be reevaluated by the time spring break rolls around for Newport Harbor. So here is hoping that Jack Vonderay, for the Sailors' sake, gets back. Sterling Foley, by my count, he had 25 kills by my count, but the official tally was 22 kills. They also had 8 kills apiece from Everett Welton, as well as Brady Gant, Ryan's brother. So Ryan Gant is the setter. Brady Gant plays on the pins. Reed McMullen has been moved to middle blocker, and he had 7 kills. Daniel Booker also chipped in 4 kills in the middle. He's a freshman middle blocker, and he's only going to get better for CDM. Unfortunately for the Sea Kings, not enough better as Newport Harbor was able to beat them. So a big week in high school boys volleyball. We have a lot of big-time matches this week. So Wednesday, we've got Huntington Beach at Newport Harbor. I wish I could be going to that one, but unfortunately, I'm going to be PA announcing Edison at Corona Del Mar. Still a great matchup regardless. And then also, the day before, we have Mira Costa, the number 1 team in the CIF Southern section, taking on Mater Dei. The Monarchs wound up winning a barn burner over Servite last Wednesday. It was such a great match that unfortunately I was not in attendance for. The fifth set was decided 23-21. That's how big of a barn burner it was. Mater Dei was even down 14-12 in that fifth set. It felt like 2011 again when Mater Dei was down 14-12 in the CIF Southern Section Division I final to Santa Margarita. But then they just kept staying alive and eventually wound up winning that match, just like they did in the Santa Margarita match. And what's big for Mater Dei is that they're going to be getting some of their transfers eligible for this season, as this week is the eligible week for all of the transfers that came from other schools from outside the CIF Southern section. So all in all for Mater Dei, they could be a scary team to watch for down the stretch. Also, another high school boys volleyball a few high school volleyball matches on Saturday that are going to be noteworthy. Loyola at Miracosta. This is a rivalry that never gets old, and we finally get to see what Loyola is truly made of. I've been told that Loyola is stacked across the board. Obviously, they had a not so good showing at Best of the West, but maybe that's not the tournament where they peaked the most. Maybe this matchup between Miracosta will see Loyola peaking at the best time. And then for Miracosta, they're going to be hosting this event. It's going to be big time. It's going to be a very fun event. It's going to be a humdinger. Just, if you're a big high school boys volleyball fan, go to that matchup. And then also on Saturday, we have the Rocky Chiarelli Invitational, hosted by Huntington Beach High School. So the first matchup will be at 2:30 p.m. Pacific time between Tesoro and Edison. And then after that, 4:15 p.m. Pacific time, Newport Harbor and Redondo Union. And then 6 p.m. Pacific time, we have Corona Del Mar at Huntington Beach. This basically is paying respects and homage to the late Rocky Chiarelli, who passed away last year in February due to a heart attack, which is unfortunate. Again, gotta give my thoughts and prayers and love and respect to the Chalmers and Chiarelli family. May he rest in everlasting peace. I know Rocky Chiarelli is smiling and seeing the best volleyball matches all across the world. I personally had the honor of knowing Chiarelli. He was such a great person. He helped assist Orange Coast College's men's volleyball team in 2014 to a state championship, their first in 20 years. He helped guide Newport Harbor's boys volleyball team to a CIF Southern Section championship in 2019, as well as the whole national championship altogether. And he helped turn Newport Harbor into a powerhouse, a blue blood in that regard. So there you have it right there. That's kind of my respects to Rocky Chiarelli, and I miss you to this day, Rock, and so does the entire volleyball community in Orange County and at Long Beach State, as well as the entire world that knew you. All right, but that's going to do it for the high school boys volleyball portion of the show. We're going to take ourselves a quick break because we are over an hour. When we come back, we'll have some Pro Volleyball Federation to discuss, and we'll have the Week 12 NCAA men's volleyball preview to discuss. Keep it locked here. You are listening to Set Point here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
Hello, sports fans. It's me, your boy Larry B, and I want to walk you through the world of sports. No, not just the mainstream major TV deal type sports, although those are important too. But let me be your guide through your journey of all sports, from college to the pros, the minors, and everything in between. Each week, we are talking sports galore with true diehards just like you from a hardcore fan's perspective that's sure to quench your thirst around leagues you may know all too well and some you may even discover here. That's right, sports fans. If you love sports of all kinds, enjoy hearing amazing sports stories, and respect all sports because you know how difficult any of them can be to play or compete in, then this is your show. Join me, your boy Larry B, on the defining moment each week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, and let the sports come to you.
Hello, ladies and sinners. Hello, sports fans around the world. Hello, IE Sports family. This is Cale Henderson, the host of IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio. If you folks are interested in sports in the Vegas area, if you're wanting to have a blast for 1 hour, every Tuesday night from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, this is a show built for the Vegas sports fans, where we feature the Las Vegas Raiders, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Aces, and the University of Las Vegas, Nevada Rebels. Hopefully, fingers crossed, MLB team coming soon. Either way, if you folks are looking to have a blast for 1 hour each and every week, tune in Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you folks are interested in Vegas sports news, go to our Twitter, at SinCities_IESR, and you can speak with me, the host, Cale Henderson, at Cale_Henderson on Twitter. At any time, be happy to reply. Always want to reach out to our fans. Again, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Back with segment number 2 of Set Point here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely check out all of those amazing shows, especially Chi-Town Weekly, which goes on 1 hour before Set Point goes live primarily, if nothing gets in the way. But I digress. So let's get on into segment number 2 of Set Point. So we've got a little Pro Volleyball Federation to discuss, as I will just say, the Orlando Valkyries last Monday, unfortunately I couldn't talk about this match too much. They took down the San Diego Mojo, handing the Mojo their first home loss of the season in 5 sets, which I feel foolish to admit this. I unfortunately got the Valkyries name with the Thrills name mixed up. But I digress. Alright, week 9 of the Pro Volleyball Federation. It started on Thursday. There weren't too many matches this week, as there were only 3 matches. But I digress. As Larry B pops in the chat room, he says, volley, 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 and he says, oi, oi, oi. Oh, no. No, Larry. No, I get your reference. It's instead of Aussie, 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 it's oi, oi, oi. 2 out of 10 on that joke. I'm just kidding, Larry. It was a good joke, so I'll give it 6 out of 10. Anyway, Pro Volleyball Federation. The Atlanta Vibe took on the Omaha Supernovas at the CHI Health Center. Oh man, this was the rematch of the first 2 matchups, as the first ever Pro Volleyball Federation match won by the Atlanta Vibe in CHI Health Center, wound up winning in 5, and then the next matchup was taking place at Gas South Arena in Atlanta. The Supernovas won that. This time around, the Vibe was able to take down the Supernovas at CHI Health Center in 4, 25-20, 15-25, 25-21, and 25-12. I was astounded by that 4th set where the Vibe just really took it to the Supernovas. But what can you do, as the Vibe were led by Anna Lazareva, who had 18 kills and 10 digs. Leah Edmond added 12 kills and 17 digs. Lekator member Monet, 8 digs and 10 kills. Shelly Fanning, 6 kills and 4 blocks. Morgan Henson, 13 digs. Yassiana Presley added 11 digs and 3 kills. And Marley Monserrat added 43 assists, 11 digs, and 3 kills. Omaha was a little quiet with its stats as Brooke Nunneveller and NAIA Read, who came on off the bench, they both led the way with 9 kills. Nunneveller had 12 digs. Sydney Hilly added 23 assists. So my takeaway for this matchup is this. I'm a little surprised that Omaha kind of got folded at home. I thought, and for starters, I'm surprised this matchup didn't draw over 10,000 spectators. It was like somewhere around 8,000. But I will say this for Atlanta. This was such a huge win for them just because they need to prove themselves. And on the road, they did that. And this just goes to show that anyone can beat anybody on any given night in the Pro Volleyball Federation. Now, fortunately for the Supernovas, they were able to take on an opponent that they seem to have the upper hand against. That was the Orlando Valkyries, also at CHI Health Center, where the Supernovas wound up beating the Valkyries in 4 sets, 25-23, 22-25, 25-22, and 25-20. The third set was the turning point of that match. Orlando was up 22-20, and then the Supernovas rattled off 5 straight. It's courtesy of Betty De La Cruz's big serving down the stretch, and I don't know. I feel Omaha would have wound up winning that 1-5. Even if they drop set 3, I still think they win set 4, and I feel they'll win set 5. Not knocking Orlando or anything, but at CHI Health Center with over 12,000 people, you ain't winning a whole lot unless you're the Atlanta Vibe. Anyway, Omaha was led by Brooke Nunneveller, who had 15 kills and 12 digs. Betty De La Cruz had 13 kills, 8 digs, and 2 service aces. NAIA Read had 11 kills, 11 digs, and 2 blocks. Everyone knows her as NAIA Read because she is the former Penn State star, but I guess she got married, so I kind of have to. That's what it said on this official stat sheet. So I don't want to mention any maiden names. I'm just going off of what I see on the rosters. I'm not trying to misinterpret anybody. Anyway, Sydney Hilly added 41 assists and 15 digs, while Kendall White chipped in 21 digs. By the way, that was such a better offensive outing from the Supernovas because they only had 38 kills against Atlanta. This was a whole better outing as they definitely outkilled their opponent and then some. Orlando was led by Shayna Joseph, who had 15 kills and 13 digs. Adora Ane added 13 kills, 12 digs, and 2 aces. Kaz Brown added 12 kills. Jill Gillen, she had 10 kills and 19 digs. Wilma Rivera added 27 assists, and Carly Graham added 16 assists. Georgia Murphy led the way with 24 digs. So my takeaway for this matchup is this. Omaha needed this one badly. If they lose to Orlando, then they fall further and further down the standings. But now they're still keeping pace with the Atlanta Vibe. They're only a half game back of first place, which is good. Whereas Orlando, my takeaway for them is they still can't beat the Omaha Supernovas. I just don't understand how or why. But then again, Omaha is super talented. Orlando is talented, and they had a great offensive output. But unfortunately, it was just not going to be... It was just to no avail. Even when they get a big dig night from George Murphy, even when they get 4 players with double-digit kills, they just still can't beat the Omaha Supernovas. It's tough. It's like USC with Colorado in college football, but I digress. Anyway, this was also the 4th match that Omaha has had 10,000 plus in attendance this season, so you have that right there. And they also swept the season series against Orlando, like I mentioned. And this was the first pro volleyball match in the United States to have more than 12,000 in attendance. So kudos to the Omaha fans for being in attendance and keep breaking those records. Like again, this is the 4th match that Omaha's had 10,000 plus. It's safe to say that, as myself and @AvidVolley on X, formerly known as Twitter, would say, volleyball in Nebraska hits so much more differently. And that's no knock on other states like Texas or Hawaii or California, but volleyball in Nebraska just hits so much more differently. Whether it's at the Bob, whether it's at CHI Health Center, whether it's at Kearney Community College, volleyball in Nebraska hits differently. Anyway, so that was Saturday's matchup. Sunday, which was St. Paddy's Day, hope everyone had a great and safe St. Paddy's Day as well. We made history, or we saw history when it came to this matchup between the Las Vegas Thrill and the Grand Rapids Rise at Van Andel Arena. The Las Vegas Thrill registered the first ever reverse sweep in Pro Volleyball Federation, as they lost the first two sets 25-21 and 25-21. They won the third set 25-21. They won the fourth set 25-16. You thought I was going to say 25-21 now, didn't you? And then the fifth set, the Thrill wound up winning set 5, 15-12. Again, first ever reverse sweep in Pro Volleyball Federation history. And this was such a big win for the Thrill, as they had 5 different players with 10 or more points. And this is 10 or more points overall, not just kills. They either scored via blocks or aces. You get the point. Kat Bell led Vegas with 18 kills and 16 digs to go along with 3 blocks. Hannah Maddox had 16 kills. She hit 500, and she also had 3 blocks and 2 aces. Berkeley Oblad had 11 kills. Kenneth Sauer had 7 kills to go along with 7 digs, 2 blocks and an ace. Lan Van Buskirk had 6 kills and 6 blocks. Alicia Glass-Childress, 56 assists and 10 digs. Kylie Murr had 16 digs. Claire Chaussee led Grand Rapids Rise with 24 kills and 11 digs. Amelia Dimitrova had 19 kills and 9 digs. Simone Abbott had 10 kills and 9 digs. Ashley Evans had 49 assists, and Sarah Sponsel had 9 digs. My takeaway for the Thrill is this. This win could not have come at a bigger and better time, because winning on the road is so difficult, especially in an environment like Grand Rapids Rise or Van Andel Arena. But for the Thrill, for a team that's selected to finish, I think, like second to last or last, they're not that bad, especially since they did get Hannah Maddox and Molly McCage back. With those players, the Thrill are a little bit more solid than normal. But I will just say for the Rise, we got to have a little discussion with them. How do you lose? First and foremost, I don't know what's more baffling, the fact that they were on the wrong side of history or the fact that they can't beat the San Diego Mojo. Regardless, I'm starting to have a little bit more of a concern for the Grand Rapids Rise. I'm starting to get the feeling that the whole championship for the Pro Volleyball Federation could boil down to just the vibe and the Supernovas. I'm not certain about the Rise now. I'm starting to get the feeling the Rise could be in that 3-4 echelon. And that's for good reason. But now I'm starting to get the feeling that they could be on the outside looking in if they don't play their cards right. And I feel the Rise are just too talented to be on the outside looking in. But now, with the Thrill pulling off this win, I think the Thrill can kind of be a contender. The Columbus Fury can also be a contender. The Orlando Valkyries, even though they still don't have an answer for the Omaha Supernovas, they can become a contender. And heaven forbid, San Diego Mojo can become a contender. I feel that the Grand Rapids Rise just need to find a level of consistency and an identity. Because if they don't, they're going to struggle in the Pro Volleyball Federation playoffs. So looking at this week's matchups, on Wednesday, week number 9 starts. And that was week 8, by the way. So week 9 starts with the Grand Rapids Rise at the Columbus Fury. All right, if there's... You know how I said that the Grand Rapids Rise don't seem to have the answer for the San Diego Mojo? Well, they seem to have the answer for the Columbus Fury. But that being said, if Columbus Fury is healthy, if they have Asia O'Neal at 100%, as well as Sam Drexel, I think Columbus gets a better chance at winning this matchup instead of Grand Rapids. I just feel that Grand Rapids, I just think Grand Rapids is just too inconsistent. I'm not trying to say they're bad or anything, or they're the Raiders of volleyball, but they're 4-5 and they're half a game back of Columbus. If they lose this matchup, they're going to be a game and a half back of Columbus. And right behind them is Orlando and Vegas at 5-7. So the Rise have really got to play their cards right going forward. And it starts with this matchup right here. I think the Fury can win, but don't be surprised if the Rise somehow find a way to win again over the Fury. Then Thursday, we have Orlando Valkyries heading down to the ATL to take on the Atlanta Vibe at Gas South Arena. And I am sorry if I sound like a Southern, but anyway, So this is an interesting matchup. I feel the Valkyries have a much better team than what their record indicates. The Vibe just cannot get too high on the wins. They just can't. Just because they're a half a game ahead of Omaha does not mean they're going to be the number 1 seed guaranteed. I think they have to still mind their P's and Q's. They have to cross their T's and dot their I's. I really think that Atlanta is nowhere near safe. And this is basically the whole any given week mindset. Because Orlando does have the players. It's just that the level of competition against certain foes like Omaha, it just seems to outdo them. And then on Sunday, we have a doubleheader on Sunday. We have the Atlanta Vibe taking on the Columbus Fury. All right, if the Columbus Fury want to prove themselves, like really prove themselves, they have to beat the Atlanta Vibe. They did so against the Supernovas at Nationwide Arena. Now they have to do so against the Atlanta Vibe. If they can do that, then I'm starting to get the feeling that Columbus is more of a contender than most teams and most everyone else is giving them credit for. If Atlanta wins, then it's no big deal, but if they have that win over Grand Rapids Rise, they should still be fine, and it'll still be a successful week going 1-1. I will just say going 0-2 is out of the question, especially in a very competitive league, which now has the Grand Rapids Rise vying for 3rd or 4th place, along with the Thrill, along with the Valkyries, and heaven forbid the Mojo. Speaking of the San Diego Mojo, they are hitting the road to Sin City to take on the Las Vegas Thrill at Dollar Loan Center at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, so I actually do need to make note of this, and I gotta give this guy a plug. Jen B says, "What about our new setter?" So, okay. So Jen B wants me to talk about Tori Dilfer, who came in from the Atlanta Vibe. So, thank you, Jen B, for actually informing me of that. So, the Atlanta Vibe actually traded away Tori Dilfer to the Columbus Fury. So, don't worry, Jen. I wasn't going to forget too much about that. But here's the transaction. So, the Atlanta Vibe acquired the Columbus Fury's 2025 and 2026 first-round draft picks in exchange for Tori Dilfer. Or Tori Dilfer Stringer. I'm sorry. I keep referencing these players by their maiden names. But Tori Dilfer or Tori Dilfer Stringer is going to the Columbus Fury, which I think is pretty good right there. I think Tori Dilfer Stringer is a very good setter, in my opinion. She was the setter for Louisville that helped them, I think, reach the national championship, if not the Final Four. But I think for the Columbus Fury, they got themselves a stud setter. And again, if the Fury are healthy, then they're a threat to every team in the league. If they're not healthy, then they're probably hovering around the 3-4 spot. But you never know what could happen because there's still lots of season remaining. I think they're only through half the entire season. But time will tell because some of these teams are halfway through the season because some of these teams have played 12 matches. Some of these teams have only played 8. You get the point. But Tori Dilfer Stringer is indeed a great transaction. Yes, it cost the Columbus Fury 2 first-round picks, but hey, maybe it could actually pan out for them. So it's a time will tell process to answer Jen B's question of what about the Columbus Fury's new setter. So thank you for informing that to me, Jen. All right, but back to San Diego Mojo versus Vegas Thrill. On the call will be Daniel Gilman, former Set Point guest and the host of 6 Rotation. So I want y'all to treat Daniel Gilman nice, even though, dare I say it, even though he doesn't. Even though I wouldn't say he's a rival of mine, but I also would not say 6 Rotations is a rival of Set Point. But I digress. But just treat Daniel Gilman nice in the chat room. He is a great play-by-play announcer guy. And he's going to be making his NVA debut on Sunday. And I'm clearing my plans. I don't care what it takes. I'm clearing my plans and I'm not going to distract myself. Unless it's me preparing my show. But I digress. Alright, so Mojo versus Thrill. So here's the thing for the Thrill. If they want to keep up their consistent play, beat this opponent. Last time these two teams faced one another, it got quite ugly. And that was at Dollar Loan Center. But I will say, I think the Mojo are a little bit better, but the Vegas Thrill are not the Grand Rapids Rise. Both of the Thrill's wins are against the Grand Rapids Rise. If the Thrill can play like they did against the Grand Rapids Rise, I think the Thrill might actually be onto something in terms of making the playoffs. Now, it's a little early to talk about playoffs, but they're halfway through their season. They're one of the two teams that have played 12 matches. Actually, I'm sorry, I did my math incorrectly. One of 3 teams that have played 12 matches. The other 2 are Omaha Supernovas and the Orlando Valkyries. But for the Vegas Thrill, I expect them to win this matchup. I'd be very surprised if the San Diego Mojo wound up winning this. And for the Mojo, this is kind of one of those years where they're the Raiders of the Pro Volleyball Federation, unfortunately. But I digress. But expect the Thrill to come out on top, but expect a little bit of a fight from the Mojo. They should not be as bad as they were the first time against the Thrill. But if they are, then you know where to find me. I also want to say that Tuesday is also in conjunction with week number 9, but I don't think it is. If anything, Tuesday's matchup will be Grand Rapids Rise at Vegas Thrill. I'll be talking about that next week. All right, but that's that for Pro Volleyball Federation. Just to look at the standings, I already talked about how Omaha is number 2 behind the Atlanta Vibe. Columbus Fury is 3rd, but they're 4-4. Grand Rapids Rise is 4th, they're 4-5. Orlando Valkyries and Vegas Thrill are both 5-7, and the San Diego Mojo are bringing up the rear at 2-6. All right, that's that for Pro Volleyball Federation. Now let's jump back to the NCAA men's volleyball preview of week number 12. All right, there's not too many ranked-on-ranked matches, so I also added some unranked matches to watch for. So we'll just skim through those. So Friday, we have Damon at St. Francis. Friday and Saturday, we have Damon and St. Francis. First place in the Northeastern Conference is on the line for both these teams. It should be a fun little matchup right there. Damon has a few ranked wins here and there. St. Francis is looking to continue its reputation of being the favorite to win the NEC. Definitely keep an eye out on that matchup right there. Then the Conference of Carolinas, you have Belmont Abbey at Mount Olive, which that's on Friday. First place in the Conference of Carolinas is on the line right there. Then Saturday we have North Greenville at Mount Olive, which first place could still be on the line. North Greenville has a match beforehand before they play Mount Olive, but I'm certain North Greenville is going to breeze past their opponent. I think they play Barton that night, but they play an opponent that is not on their level. I'm sorry to say that. I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but yeah. North Greenville should have a win under their belt from the day before they play Mount Olive. And then also in the SIAC, remember, the SIAC is another automatic qualifier. Edward Waters plays at Fort Valley State on Saturday, which first place in the SIAC is on the line in that matchup. I think that could be a nice little sneaky good matchup right there, especially if you're a SIAC fan. Definitely do check out the SIAC. All right, now for the ranked-on-ranked matches. And I have a little honorable mention. Number 12 Ball State takes on receiving votes Purdue-Fort Wayne on Saturday. That's a nice little rivalry matchup right there, and I know Purdue-Fort Wayne lost the first matchup in straight sets, but I will say you never want to underestimate a rival, an in-state rival. I think anything can happen in that regard. But as for the ranked-on-ranked matchups, speaking of Ball State, they have the honor of kicking off the ranked versus ranked matchups on Thursday when they host number 10 Ohio State. All right, this is pretty much do-or-die time for Ohio State. If they lose this matchup, I think Ball State pretty much has the inside track for finishing first in the MIVA because they only have one loss. They swept the season series against Loyola, and they could possibly sweep the series against Ohio State. If they win this matchup against Ohio State, Ball State has the MIVA on lock. Because after this week, they have Lewis back-to-back matches, and then the following week they have Quincy and they have McKendree, which at that point, if they win this week and then next week, they'll have at no worse a share of the MIVA. And even if they tie it with Loyola, Ball State gets the number 1 seed based off of head-to-head tiebreakers, and then they'll be the host of the MIVA tournament, barring no upsets. So this is such a huge week for Ball State, as well as next week. That's an even bigger week because Lewis is not that bad of an opponent. And then jumping over to Friday, we have the match and series of the week, in my opinion. Number 7 BYU at number 8 Pepperdine. The two teams are also facing each other on Saturday. All right, this is going to be a fun matchup. Pepperdine has proven that they can hang with the big boys in the MPSF. For a team that was chosen to finish second to last in the conference, they really handled USC well, albeit USC did not have Wes Smith, and albeit Riley Hain had to play libero. But they get a bigger test when they play BYU, and BYU is some kind of talented. Now, BYU has proven that they could win outside of Smith Fieldhouse, but can they beat a Pepperdine team who's coming off of 2 solid wins against USC and Concordia Irvine? It's a semi-low ceiling, not as high of a ceiling as other places like the Brent Event Center or the Pyramid, just to name a couple, but we'll see what BYU can do in terms of playing at Stonefire Fieldhouse. I think that's the name of it. It's Stonefire Fieldhouse. Regardless, they're playing in Malibu, and both those teams should bring home a barn burner. And then Friday and Saturday, we have tied for number 18 CSUN taking on number 2 Hawaii at Stan Sheriff Center at Simplify Arena. All right, both these teams had rough weeks last week, losing to their respective conference foe. But here's the difference between Hawaii and CSUN. Hawaii has so many All-Americans across the board. They have so much talent returning. Yes, they don't have Spiros Hakas, and Chaz Galloway might not be 100% after an ankle injury, but I'm just going to say this. This might be a get-right series for Hawaii. If they were able to almost beat Long Beach State despite not having a figured-out lineup without Spiros Hakas in their first week without him, their first full week without him, I would be very scared if I were any other team, because Hawaii is definitely a legit contender, even without Hakas. You have Louis Sakanoko, who was just bouncing balls. Like, I even have a clip of him just putting a dent in the Terraflex this past Saturday, and that's the thing that Charlie Wade needs to imply. He needs to get Louis Sakanoko into that lineup. With Louis Sakanoko, Hawaii is very scary. I know it means that his team is going to be younger, but Louis Sakanoko is a beast. Keone Tim, also a beast. I call him Keone him. You have Guillermo Voss in the middle, as well as Kurt Neuster. You have Ilu Choi at libero, who's doing great things. Tread Rosenthal still doing great at the setter position. He's having a stellar freshman year. And I want to say he's only 18. If not, he hasn't even cracked 18 yet. Because remember, he reconfigured his little graduation. He graduated early from high school, and he joined Miracosta. And then Chaz Galloway is still doing great things, as well as Alakai Todd. So Hawaii, I think, can definitely do damage, especially with Louis Sakanoko in the lineup. As for CSUN, they don't have much to lose. As well, it's as long as they're able to beat UC Santa Barbara twice, if not they pull an upset against like Irvine or Long Beach State, heaven forbid, then I will just say CSUN, as long as they finish 5th in the conference, they should be fine going into the Big West Conference tournament. And it's good that they're actually traveling to Hawaii, because they travel to Hawaii, they'll get to figure out the whole familiarization with the Stan Sheriff Center, because Hawaii is hosting that Big West Conference men's volleyball tournament. And then closing out the week of NCAA men's volleyball in Week 12, we have number 11 Loyola heading to take on tied for number 18 McKendree. All right, this is going to be a fun matchup. So I know Loyola took the first matchup, but this time McKendree is going to be hosting. It's the battle of 2 Illinois teams. And if you remember, Loyola passed the test first go-around, and I don't think they have the whole last year's quarterfinal loss in the MIVA tournament. But I will just say, if Loyola thinks they're going to be getting an easy-peasy matchup against McKendree, they're dead wrong. I could go as far as to say that McKendree could possibly challenge Loyola. Do I think Loyola will win on paper? Probably. But I will also just say McKendree is certainly no pushover. I think McKendree is probably the most scariest team in the MIVA. And honestly, don't be surprised if Loyola has to sweat this one out, but also don't be surprised if Loyola wins fairly convincingly. I will just say McKendree does deserve to be ranked because they are the only team that handed Ball State a loss. In straight sets in MIVA play, mind you. So, we'll see what happens in that regard, but that is going to do it for Week 12's NCAA men's volleyball matches to watch for. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this week's episode of Set Point. It is high time to drop the beat, because I'm about to dip like a banana in chocolate. You feel me? Thank you everyone for tuning in to Set Point. If you listen live, I appreciate you. If you listen on the playback, I appreciate you. If you listen at work, I appreciate you. If you listen at any time, any place, anywhere, I appreciate you. Shout out to the chat room, Jen B, Larry B, Patty Bax, Mike Pat, Davidson Crooks, and Ralph Cleese for all popping into the chat room. I really do appreciate it, especially Jen B for keeping me on my toes about Tori Dilfer Stringer. So Wednesday, I will be doing the SoCal Supreme Sports Show at noon, just because, long story short, I am back working at the grocery store. But I gotta make my money somehow. I'm not quite volleyball media officially, but soon I will get there. For everyone here at IE Sports Radio, however, this is Teran Rodriguez signing off. Have yourself a great rest of the week. I will see you Wednesday for the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. And just remember to stay safe, stay well, and I will be seeing you Wednesday for SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Peace! And enjoy the volleyball action.